Day 12 indeed. I had to check, I had to double check. It is day 12 and tomorrow's day 13 and then that's it. I leave. It was an incredible adventure. And it's not over. I just have one more day. But today was incredible because I had I went to the Foreign Affairs office and after some, you know, persuading, I got to sit down with a representative there. We had a nice long discussion about my findings relating food to the symbolism that we see around um, the city, and also the buildings, the brutalist structures, the statues. So everything, we covered a whole mess of issues, and it was perfect because I was walking, this morning, and I looked down, and I happened to see a what like a sewer cover, and if you can see, it's right there, that symbol. So there you go, fantastic, and you see a lot of that, in the on the foreign affairs building. You see this, and it's the same thing. It's the Vergina star, and that came from Greece, what is now today Greece, where that symbol was found where people were buried, people from Macedon, the kingdom of Macedon. So, Macedonia, Macedon, so geographic territory. And it was a really good experience talking to the foreign affairs guy. He was a very open-minded fellow. He didn't shoot down any of my ideas. We talked about Ivar, we talked about travche, the bean dish, and I think those two are the main dishes that Northern Macedonia is seeking to protect. So that was fantastic, and then I had some time to myself, and so I went to the coffee shop and wrote up my notes, and then after I went to meet my second meeting, at 12 o'clock. It was a member of the Social Democratic Party, and he was a very smart guy, and we had a good chat. And there seems to be this idea that there's the unofficial and the official. So the unofficial is, the people who celebrate the old symbols, the symbols that the Prespa agreement says don't have, and then the unofficial, the state. So there's like a Putnam two-level game going on, that the Macedonian state is trying to balance between the needs of the people and the needs of the international system. So that works really well in accordance to the post-colonial perspective. So that works. That works well. And then what else? We went to a restaurant, and it was a great restaurant. We sat down, and it was very, like, I asked him, what do you think about the decor? And he said it's rustic. And rustic is a very interesting word because that's the exact same word that I used yesterday in my notes describing the restaurant that I was in. And so rustic means relating to the countryside, rural, made in a plain and simple fashion. Yeah, but it's more than that. It's old. It's like an oldness. It's a nostalgia, right? Rustic it has a lot of different meanings that is conjured up. But we looked around the restaurant. There was like paintings of old buildings and beautiful scenery, and it really does feel like a dining room, at your grandma's house. So we had a good conversation there, and I met the owner, and the owner was an interesting guy. He said, I asked him which ones are the most important, what foods, and he said the beans and the Ivar. So those two things. But then I asked him, what do you think about other people trying to steal the cuisine? And he goes, we're stealing from ourselves. And I think what that means is that there is a problem with corruption in this country. And so maybe he was trying to say that that's a bigger issue than the whole food nationalism project. So I was thinking about that, and came back home to write up my notes. And of course, I went to the grocery store to pick up some dinner. I didn't really feel like eating a lot, so I just wanted something light, and I just got some pizza. I'm gonna show you that in a second. And I was going to the checkout line, and you know how sometimes you both arrive at the same time, like you and this other guy arrive at the checkout counter at the same time. So I let him go first, but then he said, "No, it's okay." I said, "You go ahead. You arrived first." And then he said, "No, it's okay. You go ahead. You only have three things." So he let me go in front, and I said, "Thank you." And he asked me, "Are you from the U.S.?" And I said, "Yes, I live in the U.S." And then he asked me, he told me he wanted to go to LA, and I said, "That's great." And then he said, "Are you here on business?" And I said, "Yes, and here's what I'm trying to do with the Food Nationalism Project." And he said something very interesting. He says, I told him, "Oh," I said, "you have a very special country here." And he said, "You have no idea about the genocide that they put us through." And I said, "You mean Greece?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "But also other people too." So that got me thinking, there has to be something there. I'm gonna have to ask about that, and try to figure out what exactly does that mean. Maybe does it relate? Because in Greece you have the idea of victim, like we were once in Anatolia, and now, you know, Smyrna is Izmir, for example, or Constantinople and whatnot. We lost it, and so I'm wondering if that's also present in Macedonia. So there's two major questions there. Yeah. So what do we have? We have pizza. We have just a pizza, and I guess it's Macedonian style. It's a bit sloppy, but here it is. I assume that's mushroom, the black stuff, and maybe a bit of ham or cheese. It's cold, but it's a different kind of pizza. I'd like to figure this out. It's a smokiness. Maybe that's a smoked meat. Maybe that's a smoked cheese. I'm not sure. Maybe a meat. As you can see, there's some sesame seeds on the crust. It's a nice touch. Everybody has pizza now. I wonder what the Italians think about this. I know they won't be. Maybe they'll be happy. But the Italians are very strict when it comes to their food. We all know that. If they knew what they were doing in the UK to carbonara, there would be a scandal. Anyway, tomorrow I figure I'll write up my transcript and just try to enjoy my last day here, because on Saturday I leave. And hopefully I'll come back for as a tourist, because there's a lot of sights I want to see. There's a mountain, and then there's a massive lake, and there's a valley that I want to go to. There's a lot of different things. So yeah, another time. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Felt really very much like a vacation. So anyway, yeah, until tomorrow. Ciao.